Welcome to Wednesday Teleforum. It is going to be, it's a demonstration today. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy is with me today. Hi. What are you doing? You're listening to me. You're live streaming this too. That brings me to the point.
Yeah.
If you're capable of watching this video on Facebook, do so, because anytime Dale shows up and he brings props, I know that something's going on. And today you brought a prop. Tell people for the people not watching on our Facebook page, what's the prop in front of me?
Well, we brought an appropriate prop for this time of year. We got the snow shovel.
Santa had a snow shovel as a prop. We haven't had to use it yet, but you know that time's coming.
It's coming. Whether you like it or not, it's right around the corner.
All right, what are we going to talk about with snow shovels? Because I know there's somebody listening right now, and you know this thing going, I've shoveled snow for 150 years. I'm doing it right.
We have the 6 S's of shoveling snow, how to do it properly.
6?
There's 6 of them.
All right, I'm going to keep notes
I keep adding
today.
more. I started out with 4, now I'm up to 6. So I think last year we talked about it. We had 4 or 5, now we're up to 6.
Oh, that's what I was flashing back. It's like, I know we had this talk last year, and I didn't remember 6.
Yep, it's the snow shovel talk.
Right,
so
all right.
It's the time of year to talk about it. It's a good time to bring it up again so we can talk about how to shovel snow safely without injury.
The 6 S's with Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. I'm assuming you're going to demonstrate, or I'm going to get to demonstrate?
We're pulling you in on this, Eddie. You know
That's what I thought. As long as you're not touching my feet like that one day, I'm okay with it.
No, but we do like to talk about the feet first, because the first S is your shoes. Okay, I'm not going to make you take your shoes off.
I appreciate that.
There's going to be no foot touching involved.
Everyone in the room appreciates that.
But the first is what you wear on your feet. So proper shoe wear is the first S of snow shoveling. Don't be going outside in your slippers. Make sure you have good shoes with good traction underneath them. So the shoes you have on now
wouldn't be worth a dime.
They are not worthy for shoveling snow. And actually mine aren't either. Mine are work shoes I'm wearing right now. So mine are not worthy of shoveling snow either.
All right.
So you want a good shoe that's got some good tread underneath.
Shoes. That's your first S, and I couldn't shovel. Now, you did notice that I wore socks.
You got the penguin socks on. That's nice.
I got the penguin socks. I might as well. You're going to turn me into a prop anyway. The penguin socks are happening today, even with the ugly shoes.
I think you really do like the model. As much as you talk about not, I think you enjoy it.
It makes me feel pretty. All right, so number 1, shoes. Don't go out and I've seen people do that. There's just a little snow on the ground. The flannel pants and the slippers.
And the slippers, right. Yeah. You got to take the time to put proper shoe wear on because you don't want to slip and fall and have an injury from being outside on the wet, slippery surfaces. So proper shoe wear is the first S.
And your shoes, no, you've got regular work shoes on.
I have regular work shoes. I wouldn't shovel in my shoes either.
All right.
Not enough tread on the bottom for being outside on slippery surfaces.
This is a weird question, but let me ask you this, because now I'm envisioning somebody, you know when you slip a little bit and catch it? Do people understand that can hurt you as bad as actually hitting the ground?
That can jar you as well. I've had that happen to me before, where you have a slip and an almost fall, but you catch yourself, but that can be enough to jar your back. It can put your muscles into spasm, trying to quickly grab and catch yourself, and that could cause injury as well.
All right, so that's the first S. What's the second S in snow shoveling?
Let's go into the demo so we can explain the rest a little bit easier.
We were going to head in this direction.
We're heading to the shovel.
All right. I'm flashing back to a whole lot of early Saturday mornings as a kid.
So I just pulled my standard snow shovel that we have at our house.
Is this your own personal shovel?
This is our own personal shovel.
Okay.
This is one of my kids' favorites. Okay?
No, it's not. I love the shovel until
my wife loves to shovel snow. I actually have a snowblower that helps out, but they love the shovel.
The weirdest version of American Gothic ever.
Okay, so the next S is having a straight spine. So when you shovel snow, you want to think about having a straight spine. You don't want to twist, okay? When you're shoveling the snow, when you're dumping the snow, you don't want to twist your spine.
You do have to bend over.
You have to bend over, but you want to bend forward at the hips, keeping a straight spine. You don't want to bend forward with your back like this. So when you're shoveling, go ahead and bend forward like you're shoveling.
Here comes the
you don't want to bend from here. You want to bend from the hips here. So you want to keep the spine here straight.
Am I bending correctly, Dale?
Well, your spine is okay, but your hand position's not. So
I feel like the old man on the Zeppelin
You look like you're trying not to fall over.
The Zeppelin album Carrying Sticks guy.
So you want to get you want to get your hand up on the handle, another hand down a little bit lower.
Right.
Okay. Like you would there. There you go. And keep a straight spine and just bend forward at the hips. Okay, and then when you're dumping the snow, you want to step into it and dump it. You don't want to twist your spine. You see a lot of people doing this. Okay, that rotation, that twisting the spine puts a lot of that puts a lot of stress on your back. So you don't want to do that. That's going to increase your likelihood of injury when you're twisting your spine and dumping like that.
So you should scoop and then toss it straight over into the neighbor's
straight spine. Step into it and straight forward.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the second S, straight spine.
Are my hands all right?
Your hands are great.
Okay.
Okay. The third S is small load.
Hands are great.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about this off the air. You said you had a really deep, big shovel at one point.
Yeah.
So the third S is a small load. You want to try to keep your load smaller because especially when you get the heavy wet snow, loading up your shovel, that's a lot of weight.
It can be 30, 40 pounds.
Easily.
If it's good and wet, easy.
So smaller load that you dump, so take small scoops and dump those scoops. Don't try to fill up your shovel. You want to do a small load.
Doesn't that go against a lot of people's logic? Well, the more I scoop up, the quicker I'm going to be done.
That's a lot of people's philosophy, but that's the problem because you're lifting that heavier load, you put a lot more strain on your back with a heavy load.
Okay.
So the third S is a small load.
Small load. So shoes, what was the second one?
Straight spine.
Straight spine, small load.
Okay. Then you want to take short breaks. Okay.
See, we found an S I like. Okay.
You want to take short breaks. You want to take a short break every once in a while just to straighten up, straighten your spine out a little bit so you're reversing the curve. Stretch out a little bit. Okay. So you want to take short breaks every once in a while. Snow shoveling is considered a heavy level of activity. We talked about raking leaves last month.
Right.
Raking leaves is a moderate to heavy. Shoveling snow is a heavy level of activity. So remember that when you're going out, this is a heavy level of aerobic activity you're about to partake in. So you want to take short breaks every once in a while.
Do people have the mentality of, it's kind of tough, but I'm just going to knock it out real quick because how often do I have to do it? And they get themselves in trouble.
And then you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
The next S is switch sides. So switching sides every once in a while. So you have the shovel on your right side, and then switch and put it on your left side. So switching sides kind of shares the burden of the activity you're doing for both sides of your body.
It
kind of spreads out.
The obliques, is that what they are?
Yep, your obliques are on both sides of your abdominal muscles.
Yeah.
So you're going to switch sides going back and forth.
Okay. Like a switch hitting snow shoveler. Okay.
Exactly. So you go on the one side and then you switch and do the other side. Yep, just like that. Right. So switch sides every so often. So you're kind of spreading out the burden on your body. So you're not just doing it on one side.
All right.
And the last S is one of my favorites. Shell out the cash. Okay. You got kids in your neighborhood. If you're not at a level of endurance or activity that you can safely shovel snow, go ahead and pay one of your neighborhood kids to help you out and take care of it. You're going to spend a lot less money shelling out the cash to have one of your neighbor kids do it than you would having to pay for co-pays, co-insurance, deductibles if you end up in the hospital from a slip or fall.
How much did you get when you were a kid shoveling?
I think it was about $10 a driveway.
$10 a driveway?
It's probably 20 now, but yeah.
Well, do the math real quick. I can give you $10 or $20 to do my driveway, or I can look for an ER that can actually see people bent over like a defective weevil.
Yeah, you go to the ER, you're going to be spending $100, $150 just to go to the ER or urgent care because you have a muscle spasm or strain in your back from shoveling snow. So
is it a macho thing, do you think? Do more men get into trouble with this kind of stuff than women? Because women shovel snow too, but I could see the macho getting done and the OCD and making sure all the snow's gone.
Sure, I'm not sure if there's a difference between male and female as far as getting injuries go.
Okay.
But you want to make sure you're in good condition to do so. You want to make sure you're in good condition because snow shoveling is a high level aerobic activity to do. You're lifting a lot of weight when you do it, so you want to make sure you keep in mind those 6 S's.
How do you know when you need to take a break?
You want to time it. You want to take a break about every half hour, 20 minutes, because it is a high level of activity.
Okay, so it's not, okay, I'm starting to get winded, I'll take a break. Just go ahead and know.
Well, listen to your body as well.
If
you feel like you're getting winded, if you feel any sprain or strain in your back, take a break. Just do a little bit of a back extension exercise. Hands on your hips, extend back, reverse the curve of what you've been doing with the forward bending. But make sure you're keeping your spine straight. Should help you have a healthy ability to shovel snow.
All right, I want to take a break and put this shovel down because it's giving me bad flashbacks to when I was a kid. If you've got questions, you can post the questions to Dale. This is being live Facebook feeded. Is that the right word, Curtis? Curtis nods. Look for the shovel. Actually, look for Dale. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. We will be back right after this, and I get the shovel out of my hand so I stop flashing back. Curtis, I was trying to give you a few seconds.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 for the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas. The show is hosted by Mike Romai and is dedicated to shining light on great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests that are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is presented by St. Barnabas. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with new show host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com/the best of Beaver County.
Aliquippa Giant Eagle and Beaver County Radio want to send a holiday helper out to you at the time of the year when you probably need it the most. Listen for your chance to call in and register to win one of 5 $100 gift certificates to Aliquippa Giant Eagle. Listen all week to Beaver County Radio for your chance to get in on 5 $100 holiday helper gift certificate giveaways. One will be given away each week, making the holidays sound great and taste pretty good too. It's Beaver County Radio and Aliquippa Giant Eagle.
A lot has changed since 1885. That's when my great-grandfather, William Andrew Hartzell, opened the doors to our family-owned and operated funeral home. This is William F. Rick Murphy from the William Murphy Funeral Home Incorporated in Rochester. Together with my son, Brian C. Murphy, we represent a business that is now flourishing into its 5th generation. Throughout that time, we've had the pleasure of experiencing many of local memories that have made Rochester and the surrounding area so great. I'll bet many of you can easily recall the H.C. Fry Glassworks, Barnett's Bootery, or even Kaufman's Department Store with its massive double-decker parking lot.
To put things in perspective, my family was already serving others at their time of need before the automobile had even been invented and the aforementioned businesses started and ended. Our commitment to serve our community with dignity and compassion has allowed the William Murphy Funeral Home, Inc. to preserve a business legacy that spans nearly 140 years, and we're still here. To contact us, visit our website at William Murphy Funeral Home, Inc. or call 724-775-0309.
It's a stream of champions live from Coach's Corner at Roberts Roadside Inn. Beaver County Radio will host a special championship edition of Coach's Corner with special guests including the state football champion Aliquippa Quips and Central Valley Warriors Wednesday evening from 7 until 9. Watch the live stream on Facebook or YouTube or listen to the live radio broadcast on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM. The special show is sponsored by Roberts Roadside Inn and Skurlick Contracting and presented by Beaver County Radio.
99.3 FM presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA. And right now on Facebook Live, if you just missed it, I was a snow shovel model. I think I brought it to life. Dale Reckless is my guest, Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. The first segment we were talking about what you call the 6 S's of snow shoveling.
That's right.
Before the day's over, I'm going to say show snubble many times. It's always been a problem. Run down real quick. Number 1 was shoes.
Shoes.
What was number 2?
Straight spine.
Straight spine. Up and down lift, don't twist. 3.
Small load.
Okay. We had a show, told you, we had a snow shovel years ago that was a deep snow shovel.
Yeah.
And the thought was, well, that'll make it quicker. It made it horrible for that exact reason.
Makes it a lot
would
harder.
hold 3 times the regular amount.
That's
Small
right.
load.
Yep.
The 4th one,
Switch sides.
switch sides, meaning when one of my shoulders goes out, switch to the other.
That's right.
What was the 5th one?
Short breaks.
I like the short breaks.
Every 15 to 20 minutes, take a short break. Extend your spine back. Get a drink of water
Cocoa.
or hot cocoa. That's fine too.
That's the excuse to go in and yell, where's my cocoa? And the last one is my favorite one.
Shell out the cash.
If a kid shows up, for all the grief that the elderly like me will give the youth, and it's been that way forever, these kids today, they're lazy, they're good for nothing, they're not motivated. If a kid shows up and knocks on your door and says, hey, I'll shovel this, they've demonstrated the motivation. And we were talking off air, you used to go out after snow and
Absolutely.
walk the street,
Walk the
knocking on
neighborhood.
doors.
Yep.
And how
Spend
old?
all day doing it.
10 or 12?
Yep.
You could make some, as Spicoli said,
Serious
you could
cash.
make righteous bucks. If you stayed out all day to a 12-year-old, even at $10 a driveway, you could easily make close to $100.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, that was it, man. And you'd see the real motivated ones. You'd see the paths in the snow. They'd come out at like 7 or 8 on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that absolutely flashed me back. Are kids as motivated or less motivated today? You've got kids.
I try to push my kids out there to do it. Yeah. They're outside every day doing something, so it's a battle with how much technology is available to kids as far as distraction goes. But it's a daily battle. But as a parent, you got to push them out there and have them do it.
At MRS Physical Therapy, how much busier is the spike after a big snow? When people
so what we
don't
see,
follow the
what we
6
see
S's.
after a big snow is we see increased neck pain, increased low back pain, injuries from slips and falls. Some of those are minor, and the good thing about MRS is if you have a minor injury, you don't need a script to come see us. You can come right in to see us. You don't need to see the doctor first. If it's something minor, if you feel like you sprained or strained something, just come in to call us and make your appointment, and we'll get you treated right away, so you don't have to wait for doctor's appointments or things like that. But we do see some major injuries after the change in the weather with slips and falls. Sometimes there's fractures. Sometimes you can tear your shoulder joint up or break a hip or have a knee issue. And we see those post-fracture patients as well commonly when the weather changes.
A lot of wrists also.
Yeah, wrist, elbow, shoulder, and the impact injuries when you try to catch yourself when you're falling, those kind of injuries are pretty common that we see.
All right, Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy is my guest. I've got more questions, and we're going to do more with the snow shovel. After we take care of news, maybe we'll run out and rake leaves. Last time it was leaves, and you dropped an info bomb on me. How many leaves is on a tree?
200,000 on an oak tree.
That stuck with me.
Yeah.
And wet leaves weigh 3 times as much as dry leaves?
That's right. Yep.
So that gives me hope that a month from now I'll remember the 6 S's of shoveling.
I hope you've already raked your leaves because you don't want to have to worry about the snowfall on top of the leaves.
I mowed them.
There you go.
It counts as mulch. I'm
That
helping
works.
the environment.
It's good for the environment.
News is next. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning. As today's forecast called for mostly cloudy skies, unseasonably warm temperatures again with a high of 52 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. The Patterson Township Volunteer Fire Department recently acquired a brand new fire truck. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Curtis Walsh has more.
Until now, the Patterson Township Volunteer Fire Department relied on an aging 20-year-old pumper truck, but due to community support, a custom-built brand new fire truck will now help keep residents safe. Fire Chief Phil Grazer told Beaver County Radio that the truck took a year to design and another year to build, all to custom specifications. Ongoing support by Patterson Township residents made the purchase possible. Grazer said it means the world for community support, and we're proud to have it serve Patterson. The Pierce-built truck, named Engine 90, features a 1,500-gallon 2-stage pump and a 6-man cab. This is Curtis Walsh reporting for Beaver County Radio News.
We have a couple traffic warnings for you today as the city of Aliquippa announced via their Facebook page that the Kill Street exit off of Franklin Avenue will be closed for up to 7 days due to a water main break, which is creating deterioration of the road surface. The decision was made after a meeting with the street superintendent and the Aliquippa Municipal Water Authority manager. Stay tuned to Beaver County Radio as we'll get you updated on that as it proceeds along and when the roadway will reopen. Also, PennDOT is announcing that inspection work will occur today on I-376, the Beaver Valley Expressway. That's the Vanport Bridge over the Ohio River. There will be lane restrictions both directions from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. today, weather permitting, to allow crews to conduct the routine inspection. And PennDOT is reminding you to please use caution if you're traveling in this area. And remember that work zone safety is everyone's responsibility. Pennsylvania is again aiming to put its presidential primary in position to determine the winner rather than let other states play that role. The state Senate on Tuesday unanimously approved a bill to move up Pennsylvania's primary elections in the presidential election years by 5 weeks to the third Tuesday in March. Critics of Pennsylvania's current date, the fourth Tuesday of April, say its presidential primary clout is diminished by its late vote. The bill goes to the House. A spokesperson for the House Republican majority said it hasn't been discussed in the caucus and that the Senate passed an identical bill last year, but it died in the state House. It's being reported that Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro has asked Representative Austin Davis of McKeesport to join him on the gubernatorial ticket and run as his lieutenant governor when Shapiro runs for governor, and that is next year. Shapiro's a Democrat. He's expected to make an announcement next month. Davis, a 32-year-old Democrat from Mon Valley, was first elected to the Pennsylvania State House back in 2018. More than 50 years after his record-setting basketball career at LSU, Beaver County native Pistol Pete Maravich's college letterman jacket has sold for nearly $117,000 at auction. According to The Advocate, last weekend's auction of various Maravich memorabilia netted over $160,000, including the earnings from the jacket. The purple jacket was worn by Maravich during his 3 seasons as a Tiger. The rest of the auction items include his 1978 NBA All-Star jersey, All-American plaques from all 3 seasons at LSU, and the jacket he wore in his 1987 Hall of Fame induction. And today is the deadline for shipping your holiday gifts via the U.S. Postal Service if you want them to arrive before Christmas. You still have time, though, if you decide to ship with priority mail or other services provided by the U.S. Postal Service. The deadline for first-class shipping with USPS is December the 17th. Now, for FedEx ground shipping, packages need to be dropped off with them by today in order to be delivered in time for the holiday, and UPS says check online, and they'll let you know when that's the last day. This week is expected to be the busiest mailing and shipping week of the season, with nearly 2.3 billion pieces of mail being processed and delivered this week.
Here's the Beaver County forecast from 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and 99.3 FM.
Mostly cloudy skies today with a high of 52 degrees. Also mostly cloudy overnight tonight with a low of just 49. Tomorrow, showers likely in the afternoon. High is going to be up to 60 degrees. Friday, showers likely in the afternoon. High is going to be 49. Taking a look at the weekend, showers on Saturday, high of 51, and partly sunny on Sunday, high of 37 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP AM, 1460 WMBA AM, and beavercountyradio.com.
1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. Also 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. My friend Dale is here. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy on Teleforum, and this is being live streamed, and I was modeling a snow shovel earlier, so if you didn't get on the Facebook live stream in time, so to say those stills will be available. No, they won't. We were talking about snow shoveling, the 6 S's of snow shoveling to not get hurt. Mm-hmm. And I ask you at MRS Physical Therapy, after a snow, do you see a spike in injuries? And you ran down the list. In general, what is MRS Physical Therapy seeing? There are ebbs and flows with the seasons, I would think, as far as people getting hurt. What are you seeing lots of right now?
Yeah, one of the things we're seeing a lot of right now, well, one of our programs that's really popular is our vestibular program. Common symptoms for patients that come in for our vestibular program is the feeling of dizziness.
Okay.
It's called vertigo. The technical term is benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, or BPPV for short. And what that is when you have a position change, when you roll in bed or get out of bed, the room spins on you. You feel like the sensation of spinning. A lot of times you'll have nausea with that. You'll feel sick to your stomach.
Get the queasy sit back down moment.
Some people actually get to the point that they actually throw up. It's that intense.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just feel the nausea. But you feel that spinning sensation. It lasts for maybe a minute and it goes away, and then you go on with your day. But it's recurrent. It happens, usually like every night when you roll in bed, or every time you get up out of bed, you feel that dizziness, that vertigo again.
It starts to build a pattern.
It's a pattern, and
Yeah.
what's the good news is it's very treatable with our program, with our vestibular program at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy. So it's very common. I see these patients every day. I try to talk about it as much as possible, especially on the radio, because not a lot of people are aware that we can fix it. and we can treat it.
You've told me that before.
Process.
You've had people come in and say, I've had this for 15 years.
Absolutely. I've seen patients that have had it for decades, just never realized, they took medication instead of treating it.
What does the medication do?
All the medication does is it suppresses the symptoms. It doesn't fix anything. So it's still recurrent. You just take, it's like taking a pill every day to suppress something so you don't feel the same symptoms.
Okay.
But it never fixes the problem. But at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy, we can actually fix the vertigo so it goes away. You don't need you don't need to continue to take the medication, and it typically does not come back. Once you fix it, you're good to go. It doesn't come back again.
When a patient gets put on medication for that, is that happening with their PCP?
It often happens at urgent care because patients, they feel these symptoms. Often they feel like they're having a stroke or they don't know what's going on because it's that severe and that unsettling. Once the doctor diagnoses them as vertigo, they'll typically give them some medication to help that dizzy feeling go away and help that nausea go away. But it doesn't actually fix anything until they come to see us in physical therapy. And our physical therapy program will fix that problem.
Are there people giving out the medication? And I'm not throwing stones, I'm talking about education. Are there people that are giving out that medication that aren't aware that that's a fixable issue?
I think they're giving the medication just as a short-term fix to help it to go away. What I would like to see happen is for them to get a referral to physical therapy in addition to them getting that medication. So what I would like to see happen is in the urgent cares and the ERs is that if a patient comes in with vertigo, the doctor would give them the medication to make them feel better to get through the night, but also give them a prescription for physical therapy because physical therapy can actually fix the problem so it doesn't continue to come back.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Are there doctors that don't know that physical therapy can fix the problem? Are they just too busy being ER doctors?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the shortcoming is there, but that's what I would like to see happen. That for people to be aware that a script for physical therapy, and you actually don't even need a script from your doctor. If you don't get a script from your doctor and you went to the ER urgent care with vertigo and your doctor said you had vertigo, if you don't get a script, you don't need it. Just come in and see us. We can still treat you without a script, so that's not an issue.
Walk me through that. I call you. Hey, I'm dizzy. I need to do the wall hanging as I'm walking thing.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to me to figure out how to fix me?
So the first thing we need to do is figure out which ear your vertigo is in.
Left.
So it could be your left or right ear, and then there's 3 canals in each ear. So we need to figure out which canal the problem is in. So our first goal as a physical therapist is to figure out which one of 6 canals the problem is in. It's usually in one of the canals. Occasionally it can be in 2 of the 6 canals. It's rarely in more than that. It's rarely in both ears. So it's typically 1 ear, 1 canal, and we have to figure out which canal that problem is. And then from there we treat it. So I have patients that come in and they say, well, I Google searched this and I tried to repeat the procedure that I read. I tried to repeat the procedure, but the problem with that is that they were never they never understood which ear the problem was in or which canal the problem was in, because there's different procedures depending on which ear and which canal the problem is in. And you have to do the proper procedure for the proper canal, if that makes sense.
So what do people do? Google something and say, this is how you fix it, and just try and do that
and they
to
try
both,
to do it and see what
both
happens.
sides?
And they try to see what happens. And you're not going to necessarily make yourself worse, but you're not going to make yourself better because you're not doing the proper procedure. So that's why it takes the skills of us assessing you when you come in,
right,
to assess which ear and which canal the problem is in, and then do the procedure to fix that problem. And usually only takes 1 or 2 visits to fix it.
Does that make it tougher to get a patient to buy into what you're telling them when they can be in a position to respond? Well, I looked that up on the internet and I did that and it didn't help. Do you ever get that?
Yeah, I get that quite frequently with a lot of diagnoses that I treat, but the reason that they've pursued coming to see us is because what they've tried online at home didn't work.
Right.
Just like if you tried to fix your plumbing by doing a Google search and it didn't work out, you still have that leak, you're going to call that plumber.
You're right.
So they've gotten to the point where they've tried it on their own at home, it didn't work, so they've come in to see us, realizing that we can fix them, and we can fix them in 1 or 2 visits very quickly and efficiently.
How do you figure out which what you just said, canal.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process? You look in there and see, or is there more to it?
No, it's a pretty simple test called the Dix Hall Pike. And what we do is we have a patient sitting up on a mat table. We turn their head to one direction and have them lie back. The key is what happens with their eyes, okay? We see when they're having the active vertigo or dizziness, we see an active what's called nystagmus in their eyes, which is a jumping up and down. Usually it's an upward jumping of the eyeballs and a rotational component. It's kind of freaky if you've never seen it before,
Yeah,
because
it
it looks
sounds
like
kinda
someone's
freaky.
eyes are going to roll in the back of their head. But it's actually called nystagmus, and that is a positive response to the position that we have them in, which tells us which canal the problem is in. And so we roll them in different positions. We check out the right ear, we check out the left ear, and then we'll have them roll onto the right side and left side. When we're rolling them onto the right and left side, we're now assessing their horizontal canals. So when we're assessing the horizontal canals, we'll see a different kind of nystagmus or movement. We'll see their eyes jumping upward towards the ceiling or downward towards the floor. That helps us to assess which ear and which canal the problem is in. And there's different treatments for a horizontal canal versus a posterior canal vertigo. And it could be any one of those. It does, you feel the same thing. You always feel that room spinning. So you're unable as an individual to assess by what you feel
Right.
which ear and which canal it's in. It has to go through our procedure to tell which canal the problem's in.
And the treatment is different based on which canal it is?
Yeah.
Why? Because the different
Because
directions of the canals?
Because the nystagmus and the vertigo happens based on position changes, which is based on gravitational pull, believe it or not.
Okay.
So when we roll you in a different position, we're just using gravity to facilitate what we call the crystals in the inner ear to go into the direction that we want them to go.
I'm visualizing a snow globe.
Exactly. That's
Is
the
that
exact
it?
that's the exact analogy
Okay.
I use with my patients. Think of a snow globe. Say this is a snow globe, and you shook it up, and you watch those little snowflakes float down. And if you turn that snow globe one direction, you're going to have the snowflakes fall in one direction. If you turn the snow globe in the other direction, the snowflakes will fall in the other direction. That's the same thing that's happening with these crystals in the inner ear.
Okay.
So if we're treating a posterior canal in one direction, we want the crystals to flow to one side, and then we want to slowly have them go to the other side, and then we have the patient roll almost onto their stomach so the crystals reabsorb into the place that we want them to go in their inner ear. So these crystals that are in your inner ear, they're supposed to be in there. They're just in the wrong place. And so we're encouraging those crystals to go back to the right place. And that's what we do with our procedure for treating vertigo.
How do you get them to go back to the right place as opposed to a different wrong place?
It's all in the position of the head and the body
Okay.
for our procedure. So the head has to be in the exact, and this is another reason why the Google searches often don't work, because people don't get their head in the proper position and they don't hold it there long enough, okay? Because you have to hold it there the right amount of time in the right position for those crystals to settle to where you want them to go, because you have these canals that are inside your inner ear that go in different directions. And so what we know through our vestibular program, we know the right position and how long to hold it for before we rotate to the other side. We know what position, how long to hold it for before we rotate to the next side. And then once we get to that final position and you sit up and we repeat that a couple times, you'll feel better and that vertigo will go away.
So you know how long to wait for the snow to settle to the bottom.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
What do the crystals do? You said that they're supposed to be there, but
They're
they're in the
supposed to be
wrong
there. They
place.
sense position changes. Okay? But when they get stuck in the wrong place, you have this abnormal nystagmus, the eyes jumping back and forth.
Right.
It stimulates that, and that's what gives you that vertigo, that spinning sensation.
Is that the eye? Is that the eye trying to remove the dizzy?
The eyes are trying to focus on something and they're unable to because they're hyperstimulated from the crystals being in
Okay.
the wrong place. And so the eyes jump back and forth until they settle down.
When you get the crystals back in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean they're going to stay there forever?
They typically do. Like I said, it usually takes 1 or 2 visits to get the crystals to be reabsorbed back to where we want them to go. After those 2 visits, most of the time I don't see these patients again because they don't need it anymore. Because the vertigo's gone, it's treated, it's done. Okay? I have a small handful of patients that the vertigo does recur. There's a small percentage of the population that the vertigo can come back for. But the patients know that when it comes back, they just call us up, they come right back in, and we'll get them fixed in 1 or 2 visits, and they're good to go. So sometimes I'll see patients once or twice a year where they have recurrent vertigo, but most of the time the vertigo is treated and I don't see them again.
Why don't more people know that that's possible?
I don't know that, but I do my best to educate the
I was going to
population.
say, why aren't there more people like you letting people know? Hey,
Yeah, I talk about it as much as possible on spots like this on the radio. I talk to my patients about families and friends. I have patients that come in for a completely unrelated diagnosis, and when I lie them down to say, look at their knee, and they get back up, they say, oh, I have to be careful because I always get dizzy. And then I talk to them about whether or not it could be vertigo, and if it is, then I'll treat them for their vertigo as well.
okay. What happens if there are no crystals? Because if they can, this is me, uneducated brain. If these crystals can shift around, what's going to keep them from possibly lining up to fall out?
They don't fall out.
Is that a stupid question?
Yeah, it's not something. There's no foreign substance. Nothing falls out of your ear. There's nothing that's going into your ear.
Okay.
They're there, and there's a ton of them. So you're never lacking them. But there's a certain number that gets stuck in the wrong place when you get the vertigo.
All right, Dale Reckless is my guest. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. Tell people real quick before I go to break how they can get in touch with you. You don't need a prescription.
Don't need a script to come see me. We have 2 offices, one in Bridgewater, right in Stone Point Landing, and that telephone number is 724-728-7550. And then the other office is Cranberry Physical Therapy, right on Route 19 next to North Park Lounge, and that number is 724-591-8121. And you can always reach me through email at d.reckless@mrsphysicaltherapy.com, or check out our website at mrsphysicaltherapy.com for information on things like vertigo, neck pain, back pain, things like that.
And last name, Reckles.
Correct.
No W. All right, after the break, more questions about crystals and snow globes with Dale. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
It started with a road trip into the American Midwest. Huntington bankers with one mission, to understand how people made sense of money. And that's how we met Jason.
How do I save money? Jars. Whatever loose cash I have at the end of the day goes into the concert tickets jar, the vacation jar. You get it.
And that's how we came up with personalized goals for your savings accounts. Our customers give us the best ideas. Huntington, welcome. Member FDIC. Learn more at huntington.com.
Cooler weather, shorter days, and football. It's the season and a great reason to get to Gnu's. While you're watching the games, Gnu's Body Works in Freedom can be restoring your old ride to its former glory. Gnu's specializes in the restoration and customization of all makes and models to make your dream ride a reality. Everything from lowering or airbagging your rod or street custom to full custom paint work and major and minor body and frame mods. Gnu's also handles collision and general body repairs. Get a real kick out of driving again and get to Gnu's. Gnu's Body Works, 400 8th Street, Freedom.
Aliquippa Giant Eagle and Beaver County Radio want to send a holiday helper out to you at the time of the year when you probably need it the most. Listen for your chance to call in and register to win one of 5 $100 gift certificates to Aliquippa Giant Eagle. Listen all week to Beaver County Radio for your chance to get in on 5 $100 holiday helper gift certificate giveaways. One will be given away each week, making the holidays sound great and taste pretty good too. It's Beaver County Radio and Aliquippa Giant Eagle. It's a stream of champions live from Coach's Corner at Roberts Roadside Inn. Beaver County Radio will host a special championship edition of Coach's Corner with special guests including the state football champion Aliquippa Quips and Central Valley Warriors Wednesday evening from 7 until 9. Watch the live stream on Facebook or YouTube or listen to the live radio broadcast on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM. The special show is sponsored by Roberts Roadside Inn and Skirlick Contracting and presented by Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
99.3 FM presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA. Talking to Dale Reckless. This is being Facebook Live feeded. That's not right. What's the term? This is being fed on Facebook Live.
That sounds nicer.
It sounds nicer?
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do with the shovel and the crystals, isn't it? Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy with me. We've talked about the 6 S's of shoveling snow. And we've also talked about, what's the fancy word? Vestibular?
Vestibular therapy. Yeah.
Vestibular therapy. That's fancy sounding for if you're getting dizzy and they told you that there's nothing they can do, they're wrong. You can fix that with vertigo, and with you explained how. You've got another program that you're involved, that you do a lot of work with. What's that program that's busy for you guys?
Yeah, our Parkinson's program is a very popular program. We see a lot of patients for. We're one of the lead physical therapy programs that treat Parkinson's in the area for both Beaver and Butler County. We actually run 2 different support groups for Parkinson's. The one group is actually meeting today. in the Pathways Church at Chippewa. So if you're listening and you want to join our group today, we're having a Christmas party. Come and join us. MRS is providing pizza and drinks, and it's a good time. So that's 12:30 at the Pathways Church today. But the Parkinson's program, there's a really high number of people with Parkinson's in Western Pennsylvania, which helped us to identify the need to develop good programs for people with Parkinson's at both MRS and Cranberry Physical Therapy. So that's what led us to starting the Parkinson support groups. We have 2 very active support groups. The one, like I said, meets at the Pathways Church at Chippewa, the second Tuesday of the month at 12:30, and the other group meets at the Cranberry Rosie Snyder YMCA on the first Friday of the month at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we just met for that one recently, but that's the first Friday of the month for the Butler County Parkinson Support Group. Both groups have about 20 or 30 members that actively attend, but each group has over 100 members that we send out monthly mailings for, because it's a very common diagnosis in this area. We don't know why it's a common diagnosis in this area, but it is. So we have some specialty programs that we use to treat Parkinson's, and one of those is called Lsvt Big. And the Lsvt Big program is a very specialized exercise program for people with Parkinson's.
Okay.
What it does is it helps to treat the common symptoms that people have with the Parkinson's. The common symptoms are small movements and slow movements. So when you have Parkinson's disease, those are 2 very common symptoms that people have. Their movements become slower and their movements become smaller. And what the Lsvt Big program does, it helps to teach people to relearn how to move bigger, with better movements. So people that walk with those small shuffling stutter steps,
right,
it helps them to walk with normal motion. People that have difficulty with their arm motions, usually with Parkinson's disease, you'll see decreased arm motions. It helps them to work with to get more normalized arm motion when you walk. So you're walking more normalized and your movements are more normalized. And it's very successful outcome with our Lsvt Big Parkinson's program.
Why does that happen? With Parkinson's, is that a flexibility issue, or is that a signal processing issue, or is it some of both?
It's both. Yeah, it's both.
Okay.
So with Parkinson's, there often is a flexibility issue. Parkinson's often wants to bring your body forward, your shoulders forward. So people with Parkinson's posturally, they start to get tighter because all of their posture becomes forward. So there is a flexibility component that we work on to get them more upright, making sure their shoulder range of motion is more normalized, their leg range of motion is more normalized. But it's also a signaling processing, like you said, issue. And what the Lsvt Big program does is it reteaches the brain to think bigger. So when we reteach the brain to think bigger, the motions actually become more normalized. So we're actually going through a process through this very special program. It's exercises that were scientifically researched that help improve Parkinson's more than most exercises do.
Okay, so the exercises are specific. How do you retrain your brain to think bigger?
We do it through repetition and through big motions. And so when we talk about the Lsvt Big program, all the motions are big. So the arm swings are big, the stepping is big.
Almost over-exaggerated.
Over-exaggerating.
Okay.
So your arm motions are big, so you're doing big movements like this. You're doing big motions where you're rotating back and forth. And all your motions are, like you said, over-exaggerated or bigger. And then that helps to reprocess with the brain to renormalize your motions when you're walking and moving around.
Is it how advantageous is it to start treatment for Parkinson's early in the Parkinson's process?
It's essential to treat it as soon as you get the diagnosis, or as soon as you think something's going on.
Right.
Actually, most people, once they get the diagnosis, they realize they've probably had it for years prior, but didn't realize that
Really?
it was happening until they finally get a diagnosis. But once you get a diagnosis, give us a call. You want to start your treatment as soon as possible because you want to try to slow down the impact that Parkinson's is going to have on you with slowing down of your systems.
If somebody thinks there might be an issue, what symptoms? You talked about small steps, things like that. Are there other symptoms that you can look at and go, ooh, I need to get that checked?
Yeah, so some things people notice is their handwriting gets real small. That's called micrographia. Almost unreadable because it's so small.
It's got its own word.
It has its own word. It's called micrographia.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll have difficulty with buttoning your buttons or zippers or things like that when you're getting dressed. But a lot of times your spouse or significant other will notice that your steps are smaller, that your arm movements are smaller. A lot of times you'll see what's called a masking of the face, which means your expressions aren't as big as they normally are. You don't see as big of a smile and things like that.
And that's not something, if I had masking of the face, I still think I'm smiling or frowning like I always did.
Well, that's the thing with Parkinson's. It's tricky. As an individual, you think you're doing everything normally still, because Parkinson's is making you think these movements are normal, but they're not. That's why it's often a significant other or spouse that recognizes the changes and difference when you yourself have not necessarily recognized the changes.
I don't feel any different, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, how many patients do you see a week for Parkinson's? I'm just curious.
We see Parkinson's patients every single day in both of our clinics. So it's a very active program. It's a very common diagnosis we treat. There aren't many people that specialize in Parkinson's like we do at MRS Physical Therapy and Cranberry Physical Therapy. So if it is a diagnosis that you have and you want to give us a call, reach out to us at MRS Physical Therapy. Like I said, we have an office in Bridgewater, which is right in the heart of Bridgewater in Stone Point Landing. That number is 724-728-7550, or the Cranberry office to serve the people in Butler and Allegheny County. That's on Route 19, right next to North Park Lounge, and that number is 724-591-8121.
How much busier do you get this time of year?
This time of year is up and down. Like right now, we're really busy, but it's going to slow down around the holidays because people are busy, with their holiday plans and things like that, and that's all normal. And then it'll bump back up again as soon as the new year comes because people are getting back into their programs again.
So people take time off from the program. How much of it is they take time off for the holidays, and how much of it is they discover something's going on during the holidays? They had the issue the whole time, and family member points it out.
Yeah, those are the people that usually give us a call right after the new year and say, this came up over the holidays and I realized I need to work on it. Or maybe they had a fall, or a family member, when the parents were visiting, noticed that, mom or dad wasn't walking the way they normally have been, and they don't feel like they're as safe as they should be. They might feel they're a fall risk, and they want to send them to us for a fall risk program. That's a great opportunity for them to come and do our fall risk program and to make sure you're back walking.
All right, this is the last time you and I will get to chat before Christmas. What was your best and worst Christmas gift that you got as a kid? The best, I remember the G.I. Joe, I remember the bike, but what was your best? But then what was the one you got and you looked at it and you're like Ralphie, looking at the socks and just slinging them?
The worst is a hard one. I don't know. Do people remember their worst?
Oh, I do.
I think I'd probably block that one out. But I had two favorites. One is like a flexible flyer sled, which is, I still have the flexible flyer sled. I think those are the best sleds around. Mm-hmm. And the other one was, you remember this little toy, you put the car down, you put the car in and it goes down around the track and then you put it up again and keep going
the
around.
Little figure 8 plastic piece of junk thing with 2 little cars with ball bearings in the bottom of the car.
Yep. I love doing that. So
worst
gift, I don't know if I have a worst gift.
You've
that's
just
hard to
blocked
remember.
it.
I probably blocked that out, yeah.
I remember mine. I'll tell you off the air. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. It's wonderful to see you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thank you to all.
Thank you, sir. And I'll tell you off the air. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
It's a stream of champions live from Coach's Corner at Roberts Roadside Inn. Beaver County Radio will host a special championship edition of Coach's Corner with special guests including the state football champion Aliquippa Quips and Central Valley Warriors Wednesday evening from 7 until 9. Watch the live stream on Facebook or YouTube, or listen to the live radio broadcast on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM. The special show is sponsored by Roberts Roadside Inn and Skurla Contracting and presented by Beaver County Radio.